the whole truth people who are units.
This is managerial energy, so the specialty should be related to management. The development cycle goes through planning and analysis. If they have planning and analysis of what they want, then they can create. They don't obey anyone. They always want their desires to be fulfilled. They often deceive, but they don't know how to deceive.
Hello, friends. Alexander Kukharonok, Alexey Kapustin.
Good day to everyone.
Let's quickly introduce ourselves. Due to hourly and your personal requests in the comments, in direct messages, and everywhere, that there is little information about the numbers, we will make a small series of videos. The episode is called The Whole Truth About People Who Are Units. These are people who were born on the 1st, 10th, 19th, or 28th of the month. And Lesha, I would like to ask you to share a little general information about these people. That is, what purpose they have, what they like, what they dislike, what values they pursue. To start with.
Well, they are all different because only people born on the 1st are considered units. All the others, well, you can also include the 10th with these people, but all the others are still people with double energies. They are more complex, both in communication and in their psyche, as they have two energies at work. Now, a pure unit. Well, I won't be able to tell you everything. We don't have enough time, so I'll be brief. They have development cycles, that is, there's what they want, like they ride on the unit, right? That is, it forces them to exhibit leadership qualities and the desire to fulfill everything they see and understand and what they want or need. To fully develop the unit, which is a managerial energy, the specialty should therefore be related to management. Exactly. What do they need? They need to learn that their development cycle goes through ideas. They are very good at taking ideas and distributing them to everyone, but they don't implement them themselves. They need to learn to create, that is to turn their ideas into some products for which they will receive the recognition they want as leaders because they seek recognition, and accordingly later manage this creation that they have developed. That's how it works for them. And for example, the number 10, that is people born on the 10th, there's a 0 there.
So what about the 0?
The 0 makes such a person reset their own results. That is, they wanted one thing, took off once, ran somewhere, and something doesn't work out. So there's no plan, there's no planning. They drop it and switch to something else. They're constantly thrown from one state to another, and that's why they need to learn to analyze. In their development, the cycle of development goes through planning and analysis. If they have planning and analysis of what they want, then they can create. And on the 19th, for example, planning and analysis are also needed. That is, probably if it's a pure unit, only a plan and an energy boost are needed. They need energy to create something, creating teams, creating product implementations. So for everyone else, for example, the 10th, 19th, 28th, they need analysis and planning. That is, if a unit only has a clear plan, understanding, and vision of the final result, then all the other units need to analyze as well, meaning they need to acquire new knowledge to understand what is needed to achieve the goal. Otherwise, at some stage, they end up hindering themselves and don't allow the process to be completed. In other words, there's no opportunity to complete the process. On the 28th, the story is that it's necessary to understand adequately and clearly because there are many doubts and adequacy is needed there. Adequacy again is developed only immediately. Adequacy is developed through analysis, acquiring new knowledge, which helps them to build a clear plan. And then this plan leads to an adequate vision of where to go. And the 8th, on the 28th, there, she should already create a team under this clear vision of her path, as the 8 should become the reason for the success of other people, and with this team continue to develop further. So this is regarding the development of consciousness. In general, the energy of 1, that is the units, we notice that, for example, girls are very often alone because they are very strong, have a lot of energy, specifically solar energy, especially on the 19th, fiery energy. They do not submit to anyone, always wanting their desires to be fulfilled. But this doesn't happen because all people are different. Everyone has different ambitions. Everyone has different goals. and achieving. The realization of your desires through other people, well, it won't work. That is, you need to take action yourself and do it. And that's why they choose professions where they work alone. Taxi drivers, there are many men who are ones working as taxi drivers. Many work with trucks. There are many in management. They always strive to manage someone. They themselves do not know how to submit and cannot. This is the destruction of their psyche. Therefore, these are the kind of people who never listen to anyone. They gain experience only through personal mistakes. So it would be good, it's impossible, but it would be good if they learn to listen to other people. But even that is impossible, because they might listen to you or create the appearance of listening, but still do things their own way.
Still their own way.
Until they gain personal experience, it's useless. That is, they came to gain experience through personal mistakes, that's all. They bang their head against the door, or rather the wall, while there's a door right next to it, yes, which can be opened and entered. He keeps banging his head against the wall and waits for a door to appear in the wall, instead of listening to the whisper in his ear. Buddy, the door is to the right. Just take a step slightly to the right and that's it. So no, until they understand it themselves, until they come to something on their own, they don't hear anyone. And the only ones they might listen to are those they consider authorities. But even then, they will still do what they think is necessary.
All right. That was actually my next question. With whom might they have good compatibility in this regard?
No, they can have good compatibility with different people, depending on the task at hand. That is, if it's a romantic relationship, then it's with fives. If it's business, yes. Or if something needs to be analyzed, then they need to work with twos. With threes, they will either implement ideas or generate new ones. We simply match each energy with the one and see what results, taking into account the understanding of the resulting energy.
For example, if a one is a leader, let's say they have a small department, perhaps dealing with sales. Well, is it impossible or possible for a one to lead?
No, they must lead any team.
Any team?
Yes, but in this team, the deputy of the one should, ideally, be selected based on energies, because otherwise she won't listen to anyone and will impose her ideas, which she doesn't fully understand herself, on the people working with her. She has a problem. She doesn't see the final result, and she needs to learn to see the final result. Build a strategy and then give this strategy to people. Very often, A1 comes up with an idea, hands it over, but doesn't see the entire sequence of actions. As a result, there is no implementation, and very often, she leads people in the wrong direction, taking them where they shouldn't go. And she leads, people follow her, but in the absence of this plan and strategy, she often goes in the wrong direction.
What kind of energies should be given to her? I understand that these energies should be subordinate, that is, they should listen to the one. What kind of energies could these be?
Well, to expand the business, she needs a 5. And then there will be an agreement in their minds. They won't argue or fight. They will expand everything together. For carrying out, Magim, the instructions of the one, she needs an 8. The 8 is detailed. A person of labor, she will execute, and a 2 as an executor. But then the one must explain everything in detail to the 2. Then some movement will occur. But it's difficult to explain things to the 2. It needs to be detailed, very lengthy. But then she becomes a good executor, and the one doesn't always have enough patience.
I would also like to ask you about a few important points. Specifically, for people born on the 1st, 10th, 19th or 28th perhaps, as you know, what actions should they take, or what understanding should they reach to develop their energy harmoniously and move forward well?
Not to deceive.
Not to deceive.
Ones very often like to deceive. That is, it's not that they deceive everyone indiscriminately, but they do it quite often. But they don't know how to deceive. The energy of one is pure, like the sun. It's immediately visible. They very often try to be cunning. They don't need to do that. They should focus on building plans. They need to see the final result of what they want. As soon as they see the final result of what they want, they should start gathering a team. For that purpose, they shouldn't work themselves. They should manage. They should develop a strategy for expansion, for further advancement of their projects, or some of their ideas. That is to say, This is strategy. When an individual starts working, everything falls apart. They must build teams, manage groups, but with strategic thinking.
Does this apply to all individuals or just, well, the 19th, 28th?
To all.
Cool.
So they should take an idea. They do this very well. They should outline the idea from start to finish, gather teams for it, analyze with the team what is needed to achieve the goal, and only then start working, which is what an individual doesn't do. They grab the idea immediately and run with it, without analysis, without a plan. Then they don't understand why things aren't working out and blame everyone.
Yes. Friends, let me remind you that this is general information. More detailed information needs to be understood through your matrix, through development cycles. You need to look closely at your date of birth. There are no problems with that. Please, Alexey is always ready.
We have a school for those who want to learn. We offer consultations and analyses. So if anyone needs it, you can follow the link in the description. There is a calculator. You can install it on your phone as an app, and you'll have your own numerologist for every day, for business, for everything. It contains all the information you need for your realization.
Cool. Ones, don't listen to anyone. We won't try to convince you otherwise.
They won't listen. That's their uniqueness. They only gain experience through personal bumps.
Yes. But give a like to this episode because we worked hard to provide this information just for you. Leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to do these cool actions so that more people are informed. And our society or the people around us become harmonious and focus on their development.
Have a great day, everyone.
Take care.